Zen in the Markets. Confessions of a Samurai Trader 37. Staying in the present moment takes great concentration. Whatever the trend is, you must assume that it will continue. You will know when it reverses because the prices will change. A market jiggles back and forth, producing many momentary price changes in each direction. Only a very strong person will be able to play each switch. This is exhausting, and I know of no one who can be switching back and forth constantly. If you are an investor who is not on top of the market every second, you simply have to devise some kind of switch parameter that allows you to monitor the market and your positions. Perhaps it is a standing stop-loss order based on percentage of capital at risk. There is no hard and fast rule here. If the market moves in a narrow range, there can be a lot of switching before a major move occurs. We call this being chopped. Remember, it is far better to be chopped for a while than to be beaten completely. Eventually that will be the case if we continue to hold a loser too long. Usually people will add to a loser more easily than to a winner. There is an urge to deny our mistakes by adding to losers. When individuals hold losers, they usually begin to rationalize their error by saying that they are long-term investors. If they had a quick profit, they probably would have taken it. Brokers often tell their customers not to look at the short term, especially when their recommendation turns out to be a clinker. That is a cheap way of not being accountable now for losing their clients' money. It is a form of deceit. Adding to winners is simply trending. As long as the position continues in the right direction, we should add. The right side of the market is easily defined. The direction is defined as higher and higher prices if we are long and lower if we are short. Think about the bull market of the 80s. All you had to do was to buy and buy and buy as prices went higher and higher and higher. Those who thought that they could pick a top were punished severely, including me. Investors or traders who put their trust in these principles were rewarded beyond their wildest expectations. A market can change direction quickly. It is emotionally and physically exhausting to keep up with each swing. The best we can do is stay in the present moment and see what the next moment brings. Zen in the market. Each trader or investor must define what he thinks a moment is. For a floor trader, it can be the smallest change in direction. For an armchair investor, it can be looked at from closing price to closing price. Some mathematicians think that they can provide a switch parameter based upon historical price movements and statistical formulas. Beware of these people and their systems. Stay in the moment and don't let the ego take over. Give yourself an ego check to see if your ego has taken over. Simply ask yourself if you are holding on to a losing position. If you are, you have all the evidence you need to know that your ego has taken over. Take back control, immediately, by getting out of that position. It is this simple, yet it is hard to do. Believe it, and just do it. Chapter 10, No Ticky, No Tradie. Ticks are the last sale as reported in the market. They are the true language of the market as far as the Zen-oriented trader is concerned. Ticks don't lie. They tell us when we are right and when we are wrong. They tell us when it is time to get in and when to get out. Last sale is what determines your equity at that point. The last sale is truth. Reading the last price report is an easy function. Understanding what it means is not too difficult either. The Herculean task is to respond to its message without hesitation. If it says time to get in, get in. When the last sale indicates time to get out, get out. You know when you have a winner, and you know when you have a loser. What you do about it is what makes the difference between those who are merely lucky and those who have overcome their egos. Everybody knows someone who made a lot of money in the market, only to blow it later. They were just lucky. Many people come and go in the market because it is against human nature to adhere to the rules all of the time. They require inhuman self-control. I know of so very few arenas where so much concentration is required and so much is at stake. It really is like being engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Instead of your life, it is your money that is on the line. Some people are smart enough to know they don't have it and stay away from the market. Others play the market and find out the hard way it is required. If they have the fortitude and willingness to learn from their mistakes, they might make it. Luck can carry you only so far. Eventually the market weeds out those who rely on luck to survive. Floor traders bum out rapidly because of the high degree of concentration required. Also, the markets are very unforgiving. You cannot let your ego dominate your trading. Not ever. Most traders slip in and out of an ego-dominated trading style. They are hot when their ego is not present and cold when it returns. If you begin to believe what you have read in these past 9 chapters, you are on your way to understanding what is really required for success in the market. Years of hard work are needed just to let go of our egos. Or, is it for our egos to let go of us? Let the market tell you what to do. The ideal action is one that leaves not a split second between the urge to action and the action itself. Samurai Trader's Maxim number 3. If you like what you have read so far, let your friends and business associates know about it. Pass it along. Zen in the Markets is presented here in its entirety in electronic form for you to download, print out and pass along to a friend as long as you do not alter in any way what you have downloaded. Buy a personally autographed, hardcover edition for your personal library from the author's website for $24.95. No part of this book may be used or reproduced in any manner without written permission from the author, except in brief quotation embodied in critical articles and reviews. Contact the author at permissions@samuraitrader.com for approval. This book may be purchased in hardcover or electronic form for educational, business or sales promotional purposes. Contact sales@samuraitrader.com. More information. All rights reserved by author. Subscribe to my free Samurai Trader's email digest. The digest is where I try to answer questions about Zen in the markets from readers like you and also offer general market commentary. When you subscribe, he'll also send you the periodic updates to the Samurai Trader's internet directory for investors and day traders. I do not rent or sell my mailing list. Your privacy is assured. Subscribe now to the Samurai Trader's email digest. It is free. Zen in the Markets. Part IV, Zen Diagnosis, Prescription, and Confession. How long the road is but for all the time the journey has already taken. How you have needed every second of it in order to know what the road passes by. Daghamarsk divided by LD. Zen in the Markets, Confessions of a Samurai Trader 44. If you find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere. Thoughts of Rev Sunan Kubos. Chapter 11, Egoitis and its Treatment. The moon rises. Leaf upon leaf flutters down. Shiki. By now you must know that the enemy of all traders investors is their egos. I call this powerful grip that ego has on us egoitis. I have coined the word to describe the fear our egos have of losing their relevancy in our decision-making processes. Your ego will fight you and probably win in more ways than you can imagine. You know the right thing to do, whether it is getting out of losers or adding to winners, yet you want to be able to act. Often you will do the opposite of what you perceive as the right course of action. Such is the really unbelievable power our enemy within has over our behavior. Half the battle is recognizing the grip ego can hold on us. It is truly hypnotic at times. The other half is undoing its powerful grip. One of the cruelest ways ego can affect our profit potential is to help us cut our profits short. The rules say that we should let our profits run and cut our losses short. Most of us find that we do just the opposite. What happens is that our egos want to show off their brilliance by seeking profits. The ego is like a little child. It wants instant gratification. Taking profits early gives that quick reward. Ego will avoid the pain associated with losing. Strange messages are sent to your brain on behalf of the egoist position. These little memos from your ego will encourage you to take profits quickly, double up on a bad position, let your losses run, enter than you should. If you double up on a losing position, the message will be that it will only take a smaller reversal in the market's direction to get you on the profit side. For sure your ego will not tell you that maybe the market won't reverse its direction for a long time. It is very good at hiding the truth. Egoitis is a relative term. People are afflicted in varying degrees. Those showing minor doses of egoitis find they can see the market much clearer than those who are affected by a crippling amount of this human affliction. The market always punishes those people who lead the market with their ego-derived trading strategies. You simply cannot see through your own fog of self-deception when the ego decides what the future will bring. It slows the reaction time. The ego generates opinions based on its own needs. You cannot get a clear picture of what is happening in the market if your mind is already made up. You have to trade with an empty mind. Those who let their egos dominate their behavior are eventually punished. For sure, they are humbled in the long run, as the market requires obedience and will mete out its punishment to all those who want it listen. Really lucky persons will realize that they have been lucky and quit before the market catches up with them. Very few do until it is too late. Those who have learned to suppress their egos will stand a much greater chance of survival. The person who has really mastered his ego's quirks will thrive. In the trading business we call it discipline. If the ego is the enemy that I have described, then how do you reduce its influence? Wouldn't it be great if the bioengineers could find the gene that houses the ego? They could just remove it and replace it with the discipline gene. Somehow I don't think that they ever will. So, what are we mere mortals to do? A Zen approach would be to simply sit on it. Sit on what? Not your ego, although that is what eventually happens. I am talking about getting rid of your ego through the process of meditating. Zazen, as this form of meditation is known in the world of Zen, requires the meditator to sit quietly in a prescribed position and still his mind. Many a novice meditator is asked simply to count his breaths and watch any thoughts come and go through his mind. It is difficult to still the mind completely. For the tyro it is even harder. Like everything else, practice makes perfect. The benefit of this practice is a reduction in the role ego plays in the decision-making process. In trading this can be most beneficial. Be assured that any attempt to rid oneself of the ego is a monumental task. Zen monks sit for years in order to get a glimpse at enlightenment. Many people take up the martial arts as a supplement to their Zazen practice. One can never fully get rid of the ego's powerful influence. At best a person can continue to reduce its control over his perception of the world. Many books are written on the subject of getting rid of one's ego. I prefer the rigor of Zazen. It works for me when I devote the time and discipline necessary to deepen my practice. It is not for everybody. Some people turn to yoga, chanting, painting, transcendental meditation, open Fukuza training, or any other discipline that works to reduce ego's power over us and help us stay in the flow. If it gets rid of the ego's powerful influence, that is all that matters. At best a person can continue to reduce its control. There are lots of books out there that give advice on how to meditate. Many major cities have Zen centers that offer meditation instruction to the would-be novice. These centers usually offer other disciplines that would supplement your meditation practice. In the suggested readings section at the back of this book I have listed one book on meditation that I have found to be inspiring as well as poetic. I am sure there are a number of others. Group meditating seems to work for many. The association with other meditators seems to strengthen the resolve to get into the flow and not oppose it. Meditating requires a faith that your ego will fight. You cannot explain why it works. You just have to see the results in your life to know that it is very powerful. It takes a higher power to fight the power of one's ego. For market participants, this means not basing decisions on egoist needs. You cannot really appreciate the power of your ego until you begin to trade. At this point you know in your head what I am talking about in this realm. A lot of people come to the market saying they have control over their ego, only to discover sadly how powerful a force it really is over them. Your ability to go with the flow is directly proportional to the degree that you are operated by your ego. The more dominated you are by your ego, the more unlikely it is that you will be able to hear, feel, and respond to the market as clear signals. It is simply the willingness to let go of your ego and let the market guide you in your actions that will make the difference in your being a winner. One of the surest and hardest ways to help you conquer your ego is to meditate. It is not easy. Stay with it. You will be amazed at the results. Don't be spooked. This is powerful medicine. Obviously, this is just one person's prescription. Experiment and see what works for you. Only then will you find out what the market really represents. Author's note: this book mentions the word ego many times. It cannot be stressed enough how hard your ego will fight to survive every attempt to lessen its influence in your actions and decision-making processes. Making you painfully aware of its dimensions and strength is no easy task. Perhaps the repetitiveness of this chapter may help. N. Zen. Chapter 12, My Confession. Have you ever heard the saying, "Edo as I say, not as I do"? We all know how much easier it is to tell the next guy what to do than it is to do it ourselves. If I told you that I never break any of these rules and that I meditate every day for at least an hour, I would be lying. I don't, and I don't know anyone who can. Some come close. My own pattern is to trade without my ego for months on end. After piling up a lot of money, a funny thing happens. My ego creeps back into my trading. As days go by, I fall back into those old ego traps. I don't meditate as frequently as I should. I stop exercising and visualizing. Guess what also happens? I begin to lose a lot of money. Truthfully, my trading career has been a wild roller coaster ride. I have always been long on enthusiasm and short on discipline. It takes a tremendous amount of personal discipline to do well trading. That goes for floor traders and off-floor traders as well. Very few people can muster that kind of discipline on a non-stop, everyday basis. I cannot, but I do know a few people who can. They are the super traders, and they deserve the rewards. We all admire their discipline and wish we had more of it. I am getting better at it, but I still have a long way to go. Maybe by the time I am 90 I'll have it down. One of the wealthiest traders I know told me it took him 20 years to get it right, and he was a fast learner. Sometimes I feel that my trading pattern is like that of a stunt flyer. I try to dive as low as possible. Just before I am about to crash, I pull back on the stick and ascend to new heights. Several times the belly of my plane has scraped the ground. On my next climb, I am going to find a comfortable cloud and retire. To be a superior trader is to be a warrior. A warrior never lets up on his discipline. He is prepared for the next encounter. A famous samurai battle cry was Ikat, Kabuto no o shimyo. I circumflex translated it means, E after victory, tighten your helmet cords. I circumflex it is very appropriate for anyone involved in the markets. You may have won this battle. Be prepared for the next and the next and the next. The battle with your ego is never ending. Never forget that. I can tell you what to do as a trader, but until you actually start trading, you will not fully understand, nor will you be able to fully develop a trust that allows you to go with your gut feeling. That is essential for success. Many traders seem to feel the moves as they are occurring. They trust these feelings and go with them. They are truly one with the market. When they are wrong, they have the ability to correct their mistakes quickly. These are the real samurai traders. Perhaps the following parable will help you understand what I mean about the value of experience. Zen in the markets. Good luck through good meditating. N. Zen in the markets. Confessions of a Samurai Trader 51. The Art of Burglary. The son of a burglar saw his father growing older and thought, if B is unable to carry out his profession, who will be the breadwinner of this family, except me? I must learn the trade. He told his father, who approved of his conclusion. One night the father took the son to a big house, broke through the wall, entered the house, and, after opening a large chest, told his son to get in and pick out some clothing. As soon as the son got into the chest, the lid was dropped and the lock securely applied. The father now came out to the courtyard and, knocking loudly at the door, woke up the whole family, whereafter he slipped through the hole in the wall. The residents got excited and lit candles, but found that the burglars had already gone. The son remained all the time in the chest securely confined, thinking of his cruel father. He was mortified. Suddenly a great idea flashed to him. He made a sound like the gnawing of a rat. The family told the maid to take a candle and examined the chest. When the lid was unlocked, out came the prisoner, who blew out the light and then pushed away the maid and fled. The people ran after him. Noticing a well by the road, he picked up a large stone and threw it into the water. His pursuers gathered around the well, trying to find the burglar drowning in the dark hole. In the meantime, he was safely back in his father's house. He blamed the latter very much for his narrow escape. Said the father, "I'm not offended, my son. Just tell me how you got off. I circumflex." When the son told him all about his adventures, the father remarked,